Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more latest news. So there's lots to negotiate on this video today, but I'm just gonna tell you who I think Manchester United should sign in the January transfer window and that, and I think we have got quite a few players on our agenda who we could go in for in January. Don't forget Roy Keane. I interpreted some of the stuff that Roy Keane had recently said on Monday Night Football, and he actually believes that Man United should stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and we should give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at least a couple of windows to see who else he can recommend to the football club. But despite our bad start to the season, Manchester United are still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Ed Woodward I think is still convinced that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can turn things around at the football club. Now, obviously, Solskjaer recommended three good players into the squad during the summer. Obviously, we spent over £140 million, which is actually a substantial amount on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and of course on Harry Maguire. And if we have seen glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far. So it's good in the aspect that we've addressed some of the problematic areas. Obviously we've got that experienced centre half in. We also got that right back in, but we didn't address all the problematic areas. So this is why I need another couple of windows, to obviously address more of the problematic areas. But I think Solskjaer has actually identified the four positions, where he thinks Manchester United do need to strengthen up. Obviously, I think his priority, of course, is to recommend a striker in. I think we do need to recruit a replacement for Romelu Lukaku, because we do seem to be lacking in that attacking line, because we haven't been scoring enough goals this season. We've only managed 9 goals so far in 7 Premier League games. We definitely need a midfielder in. That's definitely one of the priority areas where Manchester United do need strengthening up. Don't forget during the summer as well, we was in search for a right winner. But yeah, so I think Solskjaer as well, does want to continue the policy of signing, young British players, like he did do, throughout the course of the summer. But I do believe, some of the players, we was in for, during the summer, it's probably more than likely we will reignite our interest in some of them in January. Maybe we will leave some until next summer. But yeah, so I was reading recent reports, and it actually, does say that, we are willing to spend another substantial amount in January on 2 players. Reportedly, we're willing to spend up to around £90 million on Lyon's Moussa Dembele and Newcastle's Sean Longstaff and that. Now, obviously, my opinions on Moussa Dembele is that he's recently, I think, just only turned 23 years of age. Obviously, I think we was tentatively linked with him during the summer. Like, what I mean in that aspect is that he wasn't one of our main priority targets, but Manchester United had inquired about his services, Moussa Dembele's. Obviously, he's now in his second season with Lyon. Last season, obviously, was his debut season in France with Lyon. I think he is an out-and-out number 9 striker. He is under contract with Lyon until 2023, and I think if Man United are to go in for him in January, he probably will cost us in the excess of around £50 million. But do you think it would be the right solution for Manchester United? Don't forget, Moussa Dembele has had that experience of playing in the Premier League, because don't forget, he began his senior career with Fulham, when he was young, and he was at Fulham, quite a few years. Don't forget, he also developed at PSG before he actually went to Fulham. He actually served a couple of years with Celtic and did really, really well in his couple of years with Celtic. But yeah, PSG. They did pay around £20 million for him last summer, did Leon from Celtic, of course. So do you think he would be the right player for Manchester United? With Sean Longstaff, we was in for Sean Longstaff, throughout the course of the summer. We inquired about getting him in that, but I think, Newcastle were reluctant to offload Sean Longstaff, during the summer and that. I think Newcastle did quote out that they wanted around £50 million. Manchester United were not willing to meet, that £50 million that Newcastle were asking for. Obviously, we're probably seeing Sean Longstaff as an adequate replacement for Ander Herrera, because we do need to recruit a replacement for Ander Herrera. But, with Sean Longstaff, only 21 years of age, obviously he's a young, upcoming British player. Obviously now, don't forget, he only made his senior debut for Newcastle in December of last year, but he did well in the second half of last season. He did flourish under Rafa Benitez's guidance and that. I don't know how he's performed this season, mainly because I haven't, really watched Newcastle. don't forget, Newcastle did recommend Steve Bruce as their new manager, I think earlier on in the summer and that. But yeah, Sean Longstaff, like I said, he also had loan spells with Kilmarnock and Blackpool. He is predominantly a central midfielder, so he is mainly a box-to-box midfielder and that. So reportedly Longstaff and Moussa Dembele, they're two players, of course, on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's agenda. But also, I think, we could possibly reignite our interest in Bruno Fernandes in January, because don't forget, Bruno Fernandes was one of our main priority targets, throughout the course of the summer. Obviously, we inquired about getting him, but obviously, Manchester United, didn't get Bruno Fernandes. There has been recent reports going on about Christian Eriksen from Tottenham. Don't forget, we inquired about getting Christian Eriksen towards the back end of the window, if you do remember rightly. Obviously, I think we ended talks about getting Christian Eriksen, because Tottenham obviously were demanding a substantial amount for him and that. Obviously Tottenham know deep down how much of an imperative player Christian Eriksen is, so obviously Tottenham don't want to lose him. He was subjected to intense speculation throughout the course of the summer. He was mainly linked with a move to Real Madrid, but Man United did inquire about his services. He is predominantly an attacking midfielder. Christian Eriksen is 27 years of age. His current contract expires at the end of the season with Tottenham. With Tottenham, he has made 277 appearances in all competitions, scored 66 goals. Obviously, the vast majority of his goals he has scored has obviously come in the Premier League, but he has been long serving with Tottenham. He's now into his 7th season as a Tottenham player. Tottenham did pay around, was it 11 or 12 million pounds for him from Ajax back in 2013 and that. But Real Madrid obviously I think are planning to make a move for him in January. I think also we could make a move for Christian Eriksen in January, but I do believe actually Christian Eriksen's preference, was to make a move to Spain and that. But Real Madrid themselves spent a substantial amount during the summer. They spent around £300 million on 5 players. I think someone else Man United could go in for in January or next summer. We could also go back in for Mario Mandzukic. There was a lot of talks about Mario Mandzukic the other week, and don't forget as well, we inquired about getting Mario Mandzukic on I think it was on deadline day, and I think it was the last couple of days before the transfer window shut, we inquired about Mario Mandzukic. I admire him because he's had a really, really good career in that. He's been at Juventus, for some time now, as Mario Mandzukic. But I think, the board, I've got element of concerns about recommending him in. Obviously, reflecting on his age, because Mario Mandzukic is now 33 years of age. He would be a cheaper solution than all the players that I've just mentioned to you and that. But yeah, I just don't think we'll bring Mario Mandzukic in. There was also a lot of talks about Moussa Dembele. But yeah, so obviously we're already making plans, and also Ed Woodward is making plans for the January window. But analysing our recruitment policy, it isn't too good, to be quite honest, because we wasn't competitive enough, during the summer. We haven't been competitive enough, in the league. We haven't been competitive enough in the last 3 to 4 windows and that. But I did say, due to our inconsistency, I think the blame does stem from everybody basically. But I think the vast majority of the blame does stem from the board, because for me the board weren't ruthless enough during the summer. They didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough as they did assure that I would have been backed, and they didn't recommend any sufficient midfielders in or any sufficient attackers. So in my opinion, I do think the board do need to assure structural changes at the football club. Whether they can assure these structural changes or not, I do not know. And they need to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in my opinion, in the next couple of windows, of course. If he's all right, yes, if he is still at Manchester United and that. But yeah, I think the board are a liability, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. I think also some of the blame also stems from Ed Woodward. I think also some of the blame does stem from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because obviously he's got to take some responsibility, because his tactics are questionable. And I think also some of the blame does stem from a lot of players in that, because these obviously there has been a lot of players underperforming. in my opinion. But yeah, we need to see structural changes at the football club. But like I said, I think the main reason that went against us throughout the course of the summer, was our failure, to qualify for the Champions League. Because obviously, when you're not in Champions League football, obviously, you're going to find it very, very difficult, to attract players to the elite level. And I did say, throughout the course of the summer, a lot of players had an element of concerns about coming to Manchester United. But I did say, reflecting on the amount of money that's been invested into the football club, also, reflecting on our history, because we are the most successful team in England, historically, we should be much more of a commanding position, than winning now, to be quite honest with you. And like I did say, I hope Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure, can become successful at Manchester United, but, I have got huge doubts about it. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is our, fourth permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era and that. And like I said, we haven't really got the structure, to keep sacking managers, despite the fact, we've already, sacked 3 managers, since the Alex Ferguson era and that, we've had different managers with different philosophies. And obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, wants to bring that fear factor back to the football club. He wants to bring that winning mentality back to the football club and that. But, I have got huge doubts about it. But, I think Solskjaer definitely needs to be given more time. And we know that, managers now, don't get the time, that obviously, they would like and that, because obviously, now the boards are a lot more ruthless and that. Back in the old generation, they were nowhere near as ruthless as they are now, because don't forget, back under the Alex Ferguson era, obviously, we didn't win out. He didn't win out in his first 4 years at Manchester United, if you do remember rightly in that. And I think then he was like 1 game away, from getting the sack, but he didn't. And then obviously, look what he went and accomplished. We had, 20 odd years of success under Ferguson. But I did say, regardless of who our manager is, we're never going to replicate what we did under Ferguson. No one's going to ever have as longer tenure than Alex Ferguson, and no one's gonna ever follow Alex Ferguson's legacy in that. So obviously, that's something we've got to accept. But there's a lot of things that do need to improve at Manchester United. I think the results need to improve, the performances need to improve. We tactically need to improve, because I will admit, we are tactically inept. We need to score more goals. We need to be more clinical in front of goal. Our home form needs to improve. Our away form needs to improve. We haven't won away from home. We haven't won away from home, since the PSG game last season in the Champions League. Obviously, when we did produce that miraculous comeback, and that's obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moments as manager. But this season, we've been really, really poor. With 7 games into the Premier League season, we've only won 2 games out of 7 league games, and in total we've registered 9 points from 7 league games, and we know that's nowhere near good enough, to our standards. We are enduring our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades, and we've only won 1 of our last 6 league games. But like I did say, as I do keep saying, you can pinpoint certain games out this season that Manchester United should have arguably won, because I think there's been 3 games this season, where we were winning 1-0 at half time, but obviously, we failed to win the games. I think this season we should have won definitely at Southampton away. We should have won at Crystal Palace at home against Crystal Palace. We should have definitely won at Wolves away. We should have arguably beat Arsenal on Monday, because I thought the performance was better on Monday. There was some good individual performances in that. It was good to see Scott McTominay scoring. I thought the game lacked quality, but I thought there was a lot of endeavour, especially in the second half. But that game on Monday just basically indicated out how far away both clubs are from mounting any kind of title challenge up, or finishing in the top 4. Because if Man United and Arsenal do both continue with the inconsistency, none of them will make the top 4 this season. So these games this season, Manchester United, of course, should have won. But Solskjaer has been at Manchester United now overall for around 10 months. So he has been at the football club, just under a year. Obviously, we recommended Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in December of last year, following a dismissal of Jose Mourinho. And don't forget, Solskjaer the first came in as interim manager at Manchester United. Obviously, he was interim manager for for 3 months, and in that 3-month period, everything was going well. The results were good, the performances were really, really good. He was getting the best out of these group of players, and he exceeded expectations. And since he got the job in March earlier on this year, everything, of course, has just seemed to have all gone wrong, basically. And I thought Solskjaer was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance, and he has got that proven pedigree as a player. But he hasn't really, he hasn't really got that managerial experience, especially to the highest level. So that's another element of concern I've got about him. Obviously, he managed Mould. He won a couple of Norwegian titles with Mould. Don't forget he got Cardiff relegated and only had a really, really short tenure with Cardiff. So I just don't think he's good enough, to be basically, a manager and all that. That's obviously, my opinion on it. But I think if this bad run of form does continue to persist anywhere, I think Solskjaer, definitely, will be gone by Christmas. The vast majority of Manchester United fans are already demanded him out of the football club. I think also a lot of industries in that believe Solskjaer will be sat by Christmas, obviously, if this bad run of form, does continue to persist. And, I did initially say at the start of this season, and I said it at the end of last season, I said, our expectations this season will be to finish in that top 4, and maybe perhaps win some silver. And I did say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got to exceed these expectations at Manchester United and that. And obviously, he isn't exceeding expectations now. We need to get that top 4 this season because we need to get, obviously, back into the Champions League. That's very, very imperative indeed. But I did initially say our aspirations, will be that top 4 at least for the next 2, maybe 3 years and that, because we know we're not nowhere near good enough, to win the league and that. But I think definitely looking at our squad, it's definitely good enough for a top 4 finish. But I don't think, Solskjaer is going to last at Manchester United and that. But I think so far this season is replicating, what I saw last season. What I mean in that aspect, is that, I haven't really seen much improvements this season. And, we could enjoy a worse season this season than what we saw last season because, last season was a huge disappointment. Don't forget we finished 6th. Obviously, we failed to qualify for the Champions League. And I think last season was the lowest we finished, since the David Moyes era because don't forget, we finished around 7th under the David Moyes era and that. I think something else that could have gone against us, throughout the course of the summer, obviously, we failed to recommend a director of footballing, and I did say, that's one of the structural changes that we do need at the football club is getting a new director of footballing and that. Don't forget, throughout the course of the summer, there was some former Man United players, linked with roles and that at the football club. I think Ed Woodward had spoken to quite a few of them. There was a lot of speculation, coming out the other week saying that, we were interested in recommending Edwin van der Sar is our new sporting director, and I haven't really heard much about lately. Of course, Edwin van der Sar is the CEO of Ajax, but I said we need to recommend someone who knows the culture of the club, someone of course who has got the experience, someone who would be reliable to oversee our transfer business and that. But obviously, we didn't get one in, during the summer and that. But I credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in certain aspects in that, he has got a lot of faith in his young upcoming players. A lot of faith in his young upcoming players. He did get rid of a lot of the deadwood as well, during the summer. Don't forget he did get rid of a lot of the deadwood and that. But despite the fact that a lot of players have now left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, I still believe these are players that need to leave the football club in January and of course next summer and that. And so obviously I've already I've already given you the team news, and haven't I ahead of the game this evening against AZ Alkmaar. We are not far away from kickoff now. We're actually under an hour away from kickoff. It is a 5 to 6 kickoff at the Carstegen Stadium, obviously against AZ Alkmaar. Obviously, like I said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has named a 21-man squad to face AZ Alkmaar. Obviously, it's our second game of the Europa League. But yeah, we know it's going to be a tougher test than FC Astana. Even Partizan Belgrade is going to be a tougher test than FC Astana. I do probably believe now the team would have been fully announced and that. But I give you the team news, didn't I? We have still got quite a few injuries and that. Obviously, it confirmed that Paul Pogba's obviously not going to be playing this evening against AZ Alkmaar because obviously, even though Paul Pogba played the the last 2 games for Manchester United. He played the full 90 minutes against Arsenal and of course Rochdale. But I said on Monday night, Paul Pogba, didn't look fully fit. But yeah, don't forget Paul Pogba sustained an foot injury or an ankle injury or whatever in the 1-1 draw with Southampton back in August and that. And I think he has suffered a recurrence of the injury. So I think he's getting further assessed, is Paul Pogba. So he's going to be missing the game this evening and that. So he's obviously not going to be big miss. Maybe in this particular game anyway, I wouldn't have played Paul Pogba because obviously, in these sort of games, Solskjaer goes more with the youth. He does go with some of the experienced players, but I think he goes more with the youth. But reflecting on the injuries anyway, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to make more alterations in the squad and that. To confirm as well, Martial and Luke Shaw are not going to be playing this evening. That's been confirmed, and they're 2 imperative players that are out for Manchester United now. Anthony Martial, like I said before, he sustained his injury. Now I think he enjoyed a pretty good starter to this season. Did Anthony Martial? He did well in the first 3 games, and that. I think he's more effective in that central position. Martial, obviously, he predominantly plays on the left out wide, but he's more effective in that central position. Like I said, Martial and Rashford are compatible in that aspect because, they can both play centrally, they can both play out wide, but Martial seems to be more of the standout player in that central position. Don't forget, Martial has missed the last 5 games in all competitions, but this will be the 6th game tonight he's missed for Manchester United, and it's a huge disappointment that, because I think if Martial can avoid any more injuries and he can keep the consistency up, I think he can score from at least between 15 to 20 goals this season, in my opinion. But yeah, Martial now is into his 5th season as a Manchester United player. He has scored over 50 goals for the club in all competitions. And yeah, very, very good player, being here since Louis van Gaal and Raymond. That has been mainly consistent. Has had some bad spells, for Manchester United and that. But yeah, he's been a big miss as Anthony Martial and that. And he's still only 23 years of age. And I think, Solskjaer's also confirmed that Martial and Luke Shaw are also a doubt for the game against Newcastle on Sunday. So obviously, that's a huge disappointment. With Luke Shaw, as you all know, he's been out with a hamstring injury, and he's obviously missed the last 5 games in all competitions for Man United. The last 5 games in all competitions. Luke Shaw, like I said, he's also a very imperative player because obviously, Luke Shaw is our first choice left back. Luke Shaw, like I said, he does make a difference on that left-hand side, when he is playing to his potential best. Luke Shaw is, only very, very young, he has still got a lot of development in him. And obviously Luke Shaw did win the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances and that. Obviously due to Luke Shaw's absence, it has been, mainly Marcus Rojo, that has been playing at that left back. Well, no, mainly Ashley Young, that has been playing at the left back position and that. So Young's been playing on a regular basis recently, mainly due to the absence of Luke Shaw. Maybe obviously the other injuries we've had to fullbacks and that. But in like the in the Europa League and the cup games, obviously Rojo's been playing at left back. Don't forget Alex Tuanzebe was playing at left back on Monday against Arsenal. Actually, Rojo could actually play tonight, or at least could be involved, because Rojo is predominantly a centre back, but he can also play as a wing back and a full back. Can Marcus Rojo. So we have got quite a few full backs in the team and that. But yeah, Luke Shaw, Martial, I don't think he's going to be playing on Sunday. He confirmed Diego Dalot and Angel Gomez are part of the squad for the game tonight and that, so probably at least one of them could be involved. Dalot and Angel Gomez both missed the 1-1 draw with Arsenal because Solskjaer confirmed that they've been both injured. Diego Dalot has only made 1 appearance for the club this season. Obviously that was in the 1-0 win against FC Mestalla, and Angel Gomez I think has played a couple of times this season. It did initially say he's going to be a big part of the squad this season, is Angel Gomez, but he's obviously another one of our midfield options. So if both of them don't play, I think at least one of them should be involved in that. Rashford, I don't know if he's actually going to be playing tonight. He could play in the game, Rashford, but like I said, he didn't look fully fit in the game against Arsenal, did Marcus Rashford, to be quite honest. Rashford, had a few opportunities in the first half in that particular game. There was one point where he was through on goal. Obviously, didn't take his opportunity in that. But I think Rashford has mainly enjoyed a difficult start to this season, in comparison, to his time, when he broke into the senior squad and that. Rashford wasn't too good in the last couple of months of last season. But I still say, in he needs a lot of time to develop, and that, you know, Rashford is only 21 years of age. But Rashford, he's done okay in parts. I thought he did well throughout pre-season. He did really, really well against Chelsea on the opening day. But I think apart from that, he hasn't done that well. You know, he's recently, you know, had a groin problem. But Rashford, you know, has not performed to the same sort of extent as how, you know, Dan James, Bissaka, Harry Maguire, and McTominay, and that's performed nowhere near to their extent. But we do expect more from Marcus Rashford, you know, to be quite honest with you. It's confirmed that Wan-Bissaka, he's out with illness. Is Wan-Bissaka? You know, it got confirmed. You know, he's got tonsillitis, so obviously he missed the 1-1 draw with Arsenal on Monday. That's actually the first Premier League game he's missed this season so far. Wan-Bissaka. Obviously, we do know that Wan-Bissaka is our first choice right back, and you know, I do believe, you know, he's been one of our most consistent signings this season, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But I did say if Wan-Bissaka does, you know, continue with the consistency, you know, his valuation, you know, will persistently, you know, keep growing, in my opinion. But I think the players Solskjaer brought in anyway, you know, have settled in, you know, really, really well at the football club. And if we are to obviously, you know, spend 90 million in January on Moussa Dembele and Sean Longstaff, that'll take our spending under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, including what we spent this summer, up to around, what, 240, 250 million pounds, something like that, anyway. But yeah, so they're the two players, you know, we could go in for in January. As we know that Eric Bailly's a long-term absence, he's out until the new year with injury, or is it the end of December? I think it's one of them anyway. Eric Bailly's, you know, too injury prone anyway, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, I think, you know, Man United could, you know, maybe orchestrate on selling Eric Bailly, you know, maybe in January or next summer, and that, you know, if the right offer, you know, does come in for, not because he's been inconsistent, that because when he is fully fit, you know, he has got great potential as Eric Bailly in that, and he holds his line well, but I think it's just reflecting on the amount of injuries, you know, that's had a bad effect on his career and that, and, you know, Bailly's now into his 4th season at Man United and that, but yeah, he's got a knee injury. He actually sustained this knee injury, you know, throughout pre-season. Fosu Mensah, now obviously, you know, we've got him, Fosu Mensah. I think he confirmed, you know, he'd returned back to training at Fosu Mensah. He's obviously another one of the young upcoming players. Don't forget, Fosu Mensah was on loan last season with Fulham, where I think, you know, he actually sustained, you know, this injury and that. And he's been injured for quite some time, but I think he's now closer to regaining full fitness and that. But like I did say, you know, we have got a lot of young upcoming players in the squad. Like I said, there's a lot of young players that Man United are developing and trying to improve, as I do keep mentioning. You know, there's also still a lot of experienced players in the squad. But for me, like I did say on my preview and that, and, you know, my build up to this game, you know, for me, Mason Greenwood, you know, does need to start this game against, you know, AZ Alkmaar. You know, Mason Greenwood obviously scored, you know, in the last 2 games. He started for Manchester United because obviously he started against FC Astana in the Europa League. He started against Rochdale in the Carabao Cup the other week and obviously scored in both of them games. So come up with that moment of quality. I'm surprised Greenwood, you know, didn't start on Monday in the 1-1 draw with Arsenal and that, because I did say at this present time, I think he's a much better, you know, solution than Marcus Rashford and that. But for me, Mason Greenwood, he's just recently turned 18 years of age. And I think, you know, if Mason Greenwood can keep the consistency up and he can keep scoring goals and that, I think he can become a success at Manchester United. I think by the time he's 23, 24, I think he'll be a world-class centre forward. But Solskjaer recently gave his overarching view on Mason Greenwood, and he basically admitted it would be impossible to leave him out of the team, you know, if he does keep scoring goals. And he's been assured more minutes anyway as Mason Greenwood. But yeah, this will be a particular game anyway. I believe, you know, he should start, or at least, you know, will be involved. But he recently, you know, don't forget, you know, recovered from tonsillitis, you know, Mason Greenwood and that. But, you know, I think, you know, some Man United fans have got some element of concerns, you know, about certain young upcoming players and that, because maybe some of them, you know, believe, you know, not all the young upcoming players, you know, will become a success at Manchester United. You know, it may only turn out that, you know, Mason Greenwood, you know, only becomes the successful one and that. But these young players, you know, do need to be given time. need to be given her time. Maybe some people have said maybe we should orchestrate on, maybe loaning some of the young upcoming players out, because maybe it would be beneficial for their career and that. Also, we'll gain them more experience. But like I said, Alex Tuanzebe, I think he's another young player that can become a success at the football club, because I think, in the games he's played this season, I think Tuanzebe has done quite well. Like I said, he's predominantly a centre-back, but he can also play him as a full-back and that. But I think he'll become a success. Brandon Williams was also mentioned as well. He's travelled, with the rest of the Man United squad. I think he's a left back. Is Brandon Williams? I've actually never ever heard of him until I saw it on the Man United website. But yeah, Brandon Williams, of course, got mentioned. Jimmy Garner as well, or is it James Garner, however you want to pronounce it. He's travelled with the rest of the squad. I don't think, as far as I'm aware, I don't think he's played yet this season, James Garner. I think he played a couple of games, throughout pre-season. But, I think, the players that have played well so far this season, even though we've had a bad start, I think, Dan James has played really, really well. Bissaka's done well. Harry Maguire's done really, really well. I think he shows great leadership in that back line, does Harry Maguire. What? No. I think McTominay has done really, really well this season. I think, McTominay, to be fair, has deserved to keep his place in the team. Reflect on his impressive performances. In regards to McTominay being the long-term solution for Man United, I have got element of concerns about that. These question marks around McTominay, can he keep the consistency up and that? And I do believe, he can hopefully, keep the consistency up and that. For the majority of this season so far, he has been playing alongside Paul Pogba and that. Recently due to Paul Pogba's absence and that, he has been actually mainly playing alongside Matic. But McTominay, has done really, really well so far this season. Probably won't start in this game. He's mainly been playing in the league games this season as McTominay. McTominay didn't actually play against Rochdale. I don't think he played against FC Mestalla and that. But yeah, he's done really, really well. I think Fred's done okay in a couple of games this season. That we need to see more of Fred this season. Fred needs to be given more time at the club. He's been at the club, just over a year now, I think it is. Don't forget, he's been here since last summer. Obviously, Mourinho recommended him in. We paid just under 50 million pounds for Fred, if you do remember rightly. He's enjoyed a difficult time at Man United, mainly, in comparison to his time at Shakhtar Donetsk, because he was an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk and that. But me, give Fred, more time. But I said he's a much better solution than Matic, but I think any of our midfielders are better options than Matic, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. With Andres Pereira, I thought he had a great game against Arsenal. I think prior to that, in the other games he's played him, he's been quite below par. But I would still, give Andres Pereira, a bit more time. Jesse Lingard, I have been very, very disappointed with Jesse Lingard now. I'm infuriated because, he's been a United player, since he was young, he progressed up the ranks and that, and, he's now, 27, 28 years of age, and, reflecting on his status and that at the football club and that, Jesse Lingard, should be putting much more better performances out, so been quite disappointed with him. But yeah, and I think Lindelof, he's mainly done well this season. Lindelof now is into his third season as a Manchester United player and that. He's had a couple of bad games this season, but I think prior to that, he's been, he's mainly done really, really well. And I think him and Harry Maguire, have blended in fantastically well together. Mainly, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, so there's still a lot of players, that do need to start performing better and that. But yeah, like I said, a lot of players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. Around 7 players left, was it? A couple of goalkeepers and that got loaned out. Obviously, Valencia left Man United at the end of last season after he served 10 years with the football club. Don't forget, Smalling went out on loan to Roma for just under 3 million. But obviously, there's no obligation to buy for Roma to make the deal permanent at the end of the loan. And I think it's also without a buyout option that Chris Smalling did serve 9 years at the football club. But I'm glad, we did get rid of Chris Smalling. But despite the fact that Smalling's left, we have still got 6 centre-backs in the team. Darmian, of course, don't forget Matteo Darmian, of course, left the football club. Obviously, he joined Parma. So he made a return back to Italy early on in the summer. I wasn't surprised that he left anyway, because Darmian was surplus to requirements at Man United anyway. But I'm just surprised, how much we let him go for, basically. We paid just over £12 million for him back under the Louis van Gaal era and that. Just over £12 million. He was at Man U 4 years, and we let him go for just over £1 million earlier on in the summer. So in that aspect, we've lost out on money. I said we're known for doing it anyway. We're known for overpaying for players, and when it comes to letting them go, we let them go for next to nothing. We've done it in recent years. Like I said, there's been prime examples of it this summer and that. But that's something Manchester United, do need to stop doing. Ander Herrera left the football club early on this summer. He joined PSG on a free transfer, and that was a mistake from the football club, definitely, getting rid of Ander Herrera, because you could arguably say he was one of our best players since the Alex Ferguson era. Definitely, he made a massive impact in that midfield. And look at this. Look at this statistic. The majority of the games last season we won, Ander Herrera was playing, so that just shows the difference he made in that midfield. But we shouldn't have definitely let his contract run down and let him go on a free transfer. Obviously, Herrera, I think, had 5 great years at Manchester United. Also Fellaini, he served 6 years at the club. He left back in January. He went to China. And Lukaku and Sanchez, of course, they both left the football club there at Inter Milan. And obviously they're reuniting together now. I don't know how they performed at Inter Milan because I haven't watched them. But I was happy with the money we generated for Lukaku's departure. What? Alright. I was happy, with the money we did generate from Lukaku's departure, because we generated the money that we did pay for him from Everton and that. We recouped the money, should I say. I'm surprised we got £70 million for Romelu Lukaku. Like I said, the reason he left Man United, because obviously initially lost his place in the team, basically, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's preference was Marcus Rashford ahead of, Romelu Lukaku and that. But Lukaku enjoyed a great first season at Manchester United, but didn't, really replicate that in his second season. With Sanchez, despite the fact, he's gone to Inter Milan, Man United are still paying the majority of his wages. I still believe, we're giving Sanchez around, £300,000 a week, 300 grand a week. Obviously, Inter Milan are still paying some of them. Don't forget Dean Ensign's out on loan with Sheffield United. That's good, because he's going to gain more experience, because Dean Ensign is only very, very young. Joe Prayer is out on loan, in Scotland, with Hearts. So quite a lot of players have now left, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. But still more players do need to leave, in my opinion, and that. And like I did say, the majority of this squad, is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, is it? The majority of this squad, obviously, the majority of the players are Jose Mourinho's, because obviously Mourinho spent just under £400 million. He recommended 11 players into the football club. Solskjaer's still inheriting 9 of those players now, because 2 of them have left. And I already give you the reasons, why it didn't work out under Jose Mourinho. And why it didn't work out under Jose Mourinho. Because obviously I think, we know Mourinho was one of the greatest managers, back in the day, and that obviously he's won stuff, everywhere he's been, and he's got that proven pedigree. But we recommended him in too late. You could arguably say if we'd have recommended Mourinho win after Ferguson's retirement, then maybe it would have been a different, story with a different situation basically with Manchester United and that. But we recommended him too late and that. Jose Mourinho had a 2.5-year tenure at Man United. Obviously, he won the Europa League and League Cup in his first season with us and that. But the reasons it didn't work out under him, because obviously he had bad disputes with the board. He had bad disputes with the top players. Obviously, the board weren't backing the signings that he wanted to recommend into the club last summer. Obviously, there was no sort of transfer strategy. The philosophy wasn't right and that under Mourinho, and it was part of the bus football. So these are the reasons it didn't work out under him and that. But I thought at the time we got Mourinho, and it would have worked out under him. Obviously, back under Louis van Gaal, quite a lot of money was spent under him, and Solskjaer's still inheriting some of these players. The vast majority of the players now that Van Gaal brought in, obviously now have left the football club anywhere. But it didn't work out under him because obviously his philosophy wasn't right. Obviously, Van Gaal wasn't Manchester United, was it? Just over a year. But he brought some decent players in that arguably maybe Man United should have kept. He brought Di Maria in. He's obviously on that list of one of our most expensive signings. You could arguably say we should have maybe kept him. Memphis Depay. We did right getting rid of him because Depay enjoyed a really, really difficult time at the football club. But since he's left Man United, he's become a fruition at Lyon. I think he is still at Lyon, Memphis Depay, if I'm right. Obviously, we brought the likes of Schweinsteiger in, Schneiderlin, these are the players, obviously, that Louis van Gaal brought in. We brought Falcao in, I think, for a shorter period of time. But yeah, and obviously back under the David Moyes era, I had the same sort of level of hatred of Van Gaal and did Moyes, to be quite honest. But obviously under Moyes, he only lasted 10 months at the football club because, he's the manager that's had the shortest tenure with Man United since the Ferguson era. He spent around £60 million on a couple of players. He brought Fellaini and Maturin, but look how much money's been spent at the football club. I think around £800 million is it? As something like that, an estimated guess has been spent in the last 6 or 7 years in all the managerial eras since the Alex Ferguson era. So we spent just under £1 billion, I think, as well. If you want to include the wages and that, it's probably way over £1 billion that Man United have spent and that and invested into the football club. But yeah, just under £1 billion on players in the last 6 or 7 years, and that's not taking into account what was spent under Alex Ferguson, because we know Ferguson obviously developed a lot of young players in that. Developed a lot of young players and that, but like I was saying to you, if we was to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, by Christmas and that, I don't think it'd solve the problems at Manchester United. I think, I know it's still early on this season, there's 31 games to go on that, but I think we need to give him at least a season, maybe even a couple of seasons, to see, what he can do and that. Obviously, he wants to bring players in who he thinks are going to fit the culture of the football club and that, and players who do want to, play for Manchester United and that. But we need to give him a couple of more windows, like Roy Keane said. So in that aspect, I do agree with Roy Keane and what he did say on Monday Night Football and that. But yeah, we just need to see who else he can bring in to the football club. To be honest, but Solskjaer did say actually at the beginning of the summer before I brought them, 3 players in, that I obviously wanted to recommend at least 5 new additions to the squad. And I think, in my opinion, we need at least 3 world-class signings, maybe even 4, if we are to be future title contenders and obviously get us back to where we do want to be. But like I said, we haven't won the league, since 2013. Obviously, that was over 6 years ago now. That was back in obviously, in Alex Ferguson's last season. But like I said, there's been a lot of talks going on about, Massimiliano Allegri from the former Juventus man. Reportedly, it said the other week from a lot of Italian reports that, we've made Massimiliano Allegri our primary candidate to replace Solskjaer and that at the football club. And I think, actually, according to reports, Allegri is actually interested in, becoming the new manager of Manchester United and that. A lot of people maybe believe that we should reignite our interest in Pochettino, because don't forget, went in for Pochettino before actually, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in to the football club and that. And Pochettino, I do believe, probably will be under pressure with Tottenham. Obviously, Tottenham got hammered the other day by Bayern Munich 7-2 and that. Tottenham have got a pretty decent squad. Obviously Pochettino's good at developing young players, as he's proven during his tenure so far with Tottenham. He's in his 6th season now with Tottenham as manager. Obviously, he's been there 5 years and that. But he's Premier League proven. A lot of people believe that Pochettino, would, grasp the Manchester United job, especially, if he did get the sack by Tottenham. But at the time, we went in for Pochettino, he had no intentions of leaving Tottenham. But we just went, our preference was Solskjaer, because obviously Solskjaer knows the culture of the football club. Obviously Solskjaer as well, when we recommended him, was a cheaper solution than Pochettino and that. But Solskjaer loves the football club, and this is why obviously the board are not going too ruthless on him, because obviously, he was a club legend, basically. If it had been another manager, maybe he probably would have been gone by now. But as to what the board, according to what the board and that have said, and Ed Woodward, we are still backing Solskjaer all the way, which is very, very good news. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribe, as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.